Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Fantasy Football University, FFU, coming at you in week 2 of the regular season for our big waiver show. I am Mr. Bill DeCousis. I'm here with Mr. Tom Lang. Mr. Lang, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. What a slate of week one games. It was pretty captivating, some of these games, these late night games. I will tell you one thing. I'm definitely not looking forward to Monday Night Football at 10 p.m. on Eastern Coast time this week.
For this coming week. It's
Yeah.
it is what it is. They do like the double up on Monday Night Football games a lot
Especially
now.
especially Ma Amari and Hampton is a part of that slate.
Yeah, well, it's relevant players for a lot of positions. Of the games that happened, I just want to point out almost all of them hit the under. There was notably like only a few that hit the over. The Jets and the Steelers, for example, which was a wild game.
What a wild game.
Having been in that game, the Jets should have won that game like 19 different ways, but they find a way to lose because that's the Jets. But I have to ask you this, and we'll talk about the games in general, and then we got
Aaron Rodgers
waivers and
looks
stuff.
so good, man.
So I would love for you to defend to me how you could possibly think the Giants are in any way a competitive football team this year.
Well, defensively, they played very well. I mean, you obviously did not watch the game. I was watching the game.
I did watch the game.
I watched every single game. I watched 7 hours of 1 minute of commercial-free football, plus the Giants game on the side. Um, yeah, I mean, it just their defense played very well. Um, the Commanders' offense they throughout the game they had some good plays. They had some really good plays. Don't get me wrong, but they weren't as dynamic as they were, and it is week one, but they weren't as dynamic as they were last year. And I do think that the Giants front four, front eight, however you want to look at it, that's what's going to hold them into some games. I mean, but the problem is, um, it was very frustrating watching the game because there just was no system. There was no offensive flow. And you're talking about week one, like
But
nobody
we
won.
knew that though. We knew that.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, I was anticipating a little bit more. Like, for example, Scadaboo came in and he probably had about 5% of snaps, which was ridiculous. But on his 5% of snaps, he broke 8 tackles, I believe, 7 or 8 tackles. Yeah, it was wild. When he touched the ball, he broke tackles. He didn't go far, but he broke a couple tackles, and then he went down. And but on his pass protection plays, um, it was incredible. Like he had two really good pass blocks that saved the day for Wilson. Now nothing happened out of that play, but still.
I just want to point out that Cam Scadaboo had 2 rushes for -3 yards.
Well, there was one there. No, there was one rush that was negative, but the other one, but he did break some tackles in that negative yard, which was wild.
We
Tell you,
have we
those of you who watched Cam Scadaboo, like it just was energy, and
well,
he wasn't even in there for the entire game. It
well,
was wild.
for the sake of all our listeners, don't worry. We're not going to be too fan
No, we're
centric.
not talking about the Giants.
We're not going to be too fan centric. I'll just point out that the horrificness of the Giants' offense will be noted upon later in this episode as we as we talk about waivers and other things. But man, it was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Well, you didn't see anything.
Yes, I did. I watched it after the fact,
All right,
after
all
I got back from the other game. But some of the other things that were pretty notable. So, um, we'll touch on injuries real quick. But like the obviously the ridiculous Ravens Bills game was pretty crazy. It took
yeah, it was amazing.
it took. I mean, some of these like comeback stuff. It really comes out of nowhere. But and we'll talk about this a little bit
In
today.
the
Like
fourth quarter too.
you have a few of these teams where they're good teams and then they don't really have a number one target per se. So we'll get to that like when we talk about the Bills and a few other teams. Some of the major injuries, and we'll talk about the players that it affects. So we got Drake London, who exited the game at the end of the game, of the Atlanta game. We're not really sure exactly what his status is. Obviously, you got the Worthy injury from Friday where he ran into Travis Kelce. He's probably not going to play this coming week.
Travis Kelsey literally annihilated
Yeah,
Xavier
he did.
Worthy.
Can I say something? Having played and knowing the play and what Andy Reid was trying to do in a pick play, I'm willing to bet that that was actually Worthy's fault. It's knowing where he ran. I don't think he ran it flat enough, personally,
Yeah, I think he ran a little under his route.
over his route because Kelsey was coming over the.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, sorry.
yeah. It was interesting. Jawan Jennings, we're not sure if he's gonna play. We have the George Kittle, the San Francisco man. They're just all over the place. George Kittle hamstring injury. He's actually going to be out for a few weeks. I'd be
Yeah.
surprised if they don't put him on IR.
And
Um,
Brock Purdy, man.
and Brock Purdy too,
Yeah,
or
Brock Purdy
that's
is
official.
questionable for yeah, I mean they are playing the Saints, but he is questionable for week 2.
They'll win that game.
He has a thumb, is a thumb and basically like a thumb and toe issue. It's like almost like hand, foot, and mouth disease over there.
And there was some injury scares that didn't end up coming to fruition. So we had the DJ Moore injury scare last night. He came back in. He's okay.
Hmm.
DJ Moore did not help us win our big money league that we've been sharing with everybody, which we'll kind of we'll
That's all right.
touch upon.
We did overcome some objections that we were potentially looking to freak out week 1 freak out. So
I think among the both of us, we both ended up having good calls and we both ended up having bad calls. But we'll touch upon that. And the other injury scare, Puka Nacua got completely blasted, horrific concussion scare, eye scare, etc. Comes
yeah,
back in and comes and dominates. So that's Puka. But we got a lot of names to get to. Any other thoughts before we jump right in here?
yeah. Last night's game. I mean, we
Oh
talked
yeah,
about
yeah,
the Bills game, but the Bills game. But the the Vikings weren't really looking good until the fourth quarter happened, and then bam, three touchdowns back to back, and then the Bears answered with a touchdown at the end. But it was too late because the which we'll call it the Vikings were down by what 11 at half, and
sure.
then they just basically scored three unanswered touchdowns until 2 minutes left in the fourth. So that last night's game was really good. And there was a lot of great flashes of JJ McCarthy in the fourth quarter. So I will say though, Caleb Williams in this new system, he does look really good.
And he
He
looked
does
athletic. He was
Yeah, he
good
looked
running and
very
stuff.
athletic. He was able to evade a lot of sacks, a lot of tackles and everything in the backfield. He is a little scattered brain with tossing the ball in certain spots that he probably shouldn't toss it. But I think over time that will
Yes.
get better. But he does look good.
He did
Um,
look good. You're right.
so that's definitely something to look at through the season. Obviously, we will talk about ad drops and waivers, but
He could be an interesting trade candidate. I mean, because
potentially.
at some point, he's going to become where it's like people are going to think he's too valuable or whatever. But
Yeah.
like, especially in 6 point touchdown leagues, and again, we'll touch on this when we talk about guys like they have a plethora of receiving options, receivers and tight ends.
Yeah.
And it's like it's so good for him. And if he's also going to be running, then it's going to be a really good year for him, at least fantasy football wise. And to your point about the JJ McCarthy, yeah, there's going to be some growing pains, but I mean, honestly, it's a testament to how good Kevin O'Connell is as a coach, just that he's able to just year in, year out manage these teams with different quarterback, different schemes, different stuff. He's great. I mean, he's really is. And as bad as Seattle looked, there you go. So there's the Sam Darnold thing. So interesting. Ready to jump into some waivers?
Let's get it.
All right, so waivers, same way that we were doing this last year, same way that we're gonna roll with this all every single week. We'll go position by position. We will identify drop candidates on top of the fact of every other guy that we're going to name. And so this week is no different. So let's start right at the top. So running backs, drop candidates. We got two more well-known names and one lesser known name. So top on the list, so we got a notification at the end of last night that Tank Bigsby had been traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, basically eliminating all of his fantasy value. He goes in as at best the number three back. I would say the fourth back behind AJ
Yeah.
Dillon,
And
personally.
it sounds like he may be the return guy. that they were looking for. I mean, that's a lot of value to trade for a return guy, but
A fifth and a sixth round pick. I
yeah.
mean, it's not. I don't know. Honestly, hearing some rumors, I think that Tank Bigsby was just fed up with how things were going in Jacksonville. Because why? ETN had a great game and he was annoyed that he was second fiddle. He could get over himself.
Well, now he's
I
going to
mean,
a team where Saquon Barkley is. Congratulations.
yeah, congratulations for a fifth and a sixth or whatever. So Tank Bigsby, we was owned at about 70-60%. Oh, by the way, we also we make a point to cover the two most by far the most used platforms. That's ESPN and Sleeper. So we'll be referencing them the most. He was about 60-70% on both leagues. You could go ahead and drop him. It's just it's done.
But
Um,
I will say, I will before you say the next two names, I won't overreact with these two, so I'm going to counter these.
That's
Uh,
fine. That's why it's a discussion. I was
yeah.
actually interested to get your so the other name I have on here, I would feel perfectly okay in going ahead and dropping him. So Jaden Blue, he's about 43% on ESPN, 60% on Sleeper. Miles Sanders outsnapped him in the backfield as the backup. So I don't know how you hold on to the third back on a team that doesn't run the ball that particularly well.
Guys,
I
but it's week one blues, man. It's week one blues. It just is what it is. You know what? I will say this. You shouldn't, I mean, you should be making some moves. Excuse me. You should be making some moves based on like, values to be picked up. But I personally, if I drafted Jaden Blue where I drafted him as a late round shot, and if I don't really need to make let's just say a move as of right now, I would hold on to Jaden Blue because it's going to be a season long thing for him. It wasn't going to be immediate response. We knew that it was going to be the Jamonte Williams show in the beginning. They traded for him. He's on that roster. We didn't anticipate it to be as
yes.
touchdown grab happy it was.
But I did not
Uh,
anticipate like the litany of Miles Sanders
well,
situation. I
you got to also put in this in the perspective too. It's also could be game script, right? Miles Sanders did play for the Philadelphia Eagles.
I
Now,
guess that's a fair narrative.
there's analysis with that because the fact that it could be like, hey, I'm playing against my old team, and coaches dig that too. They know that the players that they played for are going to play a little bit maybe better against their old team, or try a little bit harder. Not saying they don't try, but like still, prove something, right?
Okay.
And also you're on the Dallas Cowboys now,
Okay.
so
This is a
you
fair
know
point. So you would hang on to him depending on.
uh, yeah, I would hang on to Jaden Blue. I wouldn't freak out. I mean, he's a rookie running back. They also got Phil Maffa, Mr. Clemson back there too. He's not on the roster as of right now, but just wait. But I will tell you, Jaden Blue, I would hold on to. I would not immediately drop him. It's week one. If it happens again this week, then it's a different story. Then you can see what the script is. But the problem is you just don't want to overreact on week one.
Okay. If it's me and I got like five bench spots or something, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But let me just mention the next guy. He's not particularly well owned, but personally, I just wanted to mention it because I had identified him as a thing. So Damian Pierce, who's about 10 to 20%, depending on the league that you're in. And this is going to be a narrative that we talk about a couple of different guys in this. So in the game, Houston versus the Rams, Nick Chubb had 32 snaps and he looked good. Dare Gumbawale had 17 snaps and he looked good. Pierce had seven and looked bad. Um, and not just bad with touches or whatever, just like, you know, in the stuff that he was doing. I have no reason to think that this is a trend that will not that's not going to continue. Obviously, it's going to continue. I mean, they had Pierce for a while, and to Tommy's point that he had mentioned to me 19 different times through the offseason, like they had Pierce, and then with the Mixon situation, no, they went in and brought in Chubb
Yeah.
anyway. So my faith in that situation has gone away. I think also the offensive line is just so bad that even at its best, whether it's going to be Chubb as the lead, it's going to be some combination of stuff until Mixon comes back, if he comes back.
Well, that's the
So
thing. That's the thing. It's a shame that their offensive line is so bad because 2 years ago their offensive line was the top of the line. Like they were real good. So it's a shame that to see like this offensive line crumble is what it is because we anticipate the Texans to actually have a good roster in front of them. Also you want to protect C.J. Stroud as your quarterback, but apparently they don't want to do that as much. Uh, but Going back to Damian Pierce, like I said in the offseason, I mean, so it's been a new coaching system for the past 2 years, right? This year and last year, right? He was not a part of that. He was not drafted in that regime, right? So like I think they just want their guys. And Pierce had in his rookie year, he had some flash, had some great opportunity,
Yeah.
but after that, it was like kind of like Javonte Williams, right? Javonte Williams didn't come back alive until week one, 2025. You know what I mean? Like
Eh,
it wasn't a thing.
I don't know. It just seems like a bridge too far. And also it's not like and we'll talk about him later, but Dario Gumawale looked good. I mean it and you know, he had an opportunity to do well. But again, this is doing well as second or third fiddle on a bad offensive line. You know what I mean? Like it's just like how many different negatives do you need along the line?
Yeah.
I'll say this, like it's if you drop him, I don't think anybody's going to be picking him up. So if you want to try to wait and see something different on snap counts or production or anything, like that's perfectly fine. But Tommy's point is well taken. I had one other name that I actually took off the list that I'm curious just to get your quick opinion on. So Jerome Ford has been coming up as an option here.
Yeah, that was a little scary. You know, we were so high on Jerome Ford this week, and like out of nowhere, these running backs, Dylan Sampson, obviously rookie running back, and the other guy, what
He
was
was
his?
the other guy. The other guy was a little bit involved, but it was Samson and Ford basically going 50-50, and Samson just looked way better. Ford,
Yeah,
I don't want to say Ford looked bad, but he looked pedestrian compared to Samson. And
yeah.
clearly other
Well,
coaches
yeah,
have to see
Sampson
it.
was also getting receptions as well too. I mean, Ford really didn't get much traction throughout the
Right.
game.
I the reason I took it off is that if like until Judkins comes back, Ford is going to be very involved. So it's not going to be he's not going to be useless on your team if you have to plug in and get a guy.
Yeah.
But at some point when Judkins comes back, it just feels like it's going to be Judkins and then Samson's kind of the guy
Yeah.
behind him.
I
Like
mean,
so,
Judkins looks like, by the consensus, I mean, Judkins is gonna be back next week. I mean,
we'll see.
he got paid, and it was I don't know if the Cleveland Browns have figured out, understood the problems that they have created with full term and full paid contracts. But you know, he is making his all his money, all in one shot. It's all.
Well, if they're going to give him that contract, then the
No,
only
they
saving
did. They
no,
did.
I'm saying then the only saving grace therefore is like they're going to want to use him, so
Yeah.
they're gonna try to get him in. So I we'll keep an eye on that. I would say until then, I would hold on for Ford for one more week at least, just to see. Were there any other guys that you were thinking about dropping? Because it's difficult to drop running back sometimes. You know,
Yeah. I
it's
mean, Jerome Ford, I mean, I gotta be honest. I mean, I said a couple minutes ago, don't freak out. It's week one. But,
sure,
Jerome Ford, it's not like it was a phantom, he just wasn't used,
right,
right? So like it's just, that week one was the week to actually utilize him. It's not like, hey, we got to see how our other guys are going, like our other guys are doing. Like
sure.
Jerome Ford was a piece of that puzzle the past couple of years. Um,
And I don't want to say it's the best it's going to get, but week one when you're home against Cincinnati, I mean that's pretty good.
yeah.
I don't know. Well, like again, if you absolutely need a back, you got maybe one more week or
I mean,
two. I mean,
Raheem Sanders is the other guy. I mean, he went 3 for 3.
that's yeah.
But the thing is, it was Samson. But again, it wasn't great. Like it was not great, but it was relevant to what they were doing.
Keep it in mind. I would try not to for like one more week or so if you need it. But
Yeah,
if I mean, put it this way, I imagine if you dropped them, somebody would pick them up, and there's no guarantee that Ford isn't maybe more involved when Judkin comes back. We don't know. We don't know how that whole backfield is going to look.
yeah.
So, all right. So let's get to the positives. Let's go to probably owned. So we got a bunch of names here. We won't spend too much time, but like if any of these guys are magically available. generally speaking, the threshold that we use to not even talk about people is if they're over 80%, then whatever. Like then it's just not worth the conversation. All the following guys are at about 79, 80, 81% in general. So if they're there magically, you go ahead and pick them up. Travis Etienne, nothing more needs to be said. 140 yards and Tank Bigsby traded. He's going to be the guy. I just want to caution that this was against Carolina, who was historically the worst defense in the NFL of all time last year, considering points given up. So just keep that in mind. It's not going to be that way every single game.
It's
Um,
not, but you know what? Trading away basically Tank Bisbee is
there's
showing that he's the consensus number one
and
running
we,
back.
we should take a victory lap. We've been identifying this the entire offseason.
Yeah, I mean, we can't anticipate trades, but I mean, that was wild.
No, but like him to be great and
Yeah, yeah.
to
Great value.
resume form, etc. Zach Charbonnet. So what's our favorite thing about Ken Walker? Ken Walker is glass, and so I think the Seahawks realized that. I mean, they decided to feature Charbonnet.
Yeah, and I think that, they really weren't that great. That game was
Right,
It was okay to watch, and they really weren't that great. I mean, but I will say with a 50% guaranteed split between Walker and Charbonnet,
right,
I do think that Charbonnet is gonna level it up throughout the rest of the season, because he's gonna retain healthier. You can't say players are gonna retain healthy, right? Because the other side of the
right.
ball, the 49ers just completely got demolished. But Charbonnet, I could see, him doing like more like a 60-40 split through the season. Walker is good, but he just doesn't stay healthy. And but Charbonnet basically, got the valuable touches, and he got that touchdown.
Yes, he did. So definitely you pick him right up. I just don't understand how anybody who has Walker didn't also have Charbonnet.
Yeah.
Uh, also, man, I won't poo-poo it. I mean, if JCM, oh my God, I can never pronounce this. Ja'Cory Marion,
Yeah, Bill Crosby.
Bill, whoever he is, JCM from Washington. If he's available on your waiver wire magically, now's the time.
I
If
will,
he's there, go get him.
you know,
Uh,
it, and I do need to say something about him though, because he did have a 42-yard run. He
I
did
know, right?
he
Don't
did go
overreact
10
to
for
it,
82 with the biggest longest run was 42 yards,
right?
so you have to put that in perspective. Yes. He found the hole, he opened it up, he got in there. He also punched it in for a touchdown. That's a whole lot of yardage. If you look at it and take that 42-yard run away, he went 9 for 40, right?
Sure.
So,
That's not the only thing I looked at though. Like if you look at snap counts, it was like Eckler and JCM and then everybody else down here. So it's like
well, the other thing is though too, Chris Rodriguez was a healthy inactive week, and I am a Chris Rodriguez guy, right? So I do think, and we've seen this. We've seen players be healthy inactives right before the games, started. You weren't anticipating it, and then next week they line up and they actually do really well, right? So
sure.
like we've seen that over and over again. So I would not freak out if you have Chris Rodriguez. Do not drop him because
Disagree.
I think there's a bounce back.
Then you and I are gonna have a major disagreement. I think it's clear. I think it's not even close. I think it's just not close now. It's just if you wanna use that as a buffer for it, wait and see, and then find out next week. But this is me. I'm putting the line in the sand. It's like Eckler and JCM, and then everybody else. But we can have a disagreement. By the way, it's not like Chris Rodriguez was that owned anyway. To your point, if you were to drop Rodriguez, nobody's picking him up. So
True,
you
true,
could
but just still, I'm not.
um next on this list we got Nick Chubb. We already talked about it. He's going to be the guy at least until Mixon comes back, but the O line it's just bad. So take your lumps as you please. And the last name here, Jordan Mason. If magically he's available, get him now. He outsnapped Jones last night. And he looked good. He looked real good. Jones is not going to be able to last the entire season. We know that. We identified Jordan Mason as a sleeper pick, during the whole offseason. At some point, he's going to be the guy. It is what it is. And the Vikings are good, and Kevin O'Connell knows how to use them. So if
Mhm.
they're on the waiver wire, go ahead and pick them up. So let's get to the general options. Not too many guys to talk about here, and we already kind of touched upon a bunch of these situations. So top on the list, it's not close. It's going to be Dylan Sampson. He's 30% on ESPN. It's actually 50% on Sleeper, which is amazing. So he might not be even available depending on what league you're in. Um, he
Yeah,
he just showed up. He looked better than Ford. I mean, there's no reason to think he won't be the guy until
yeah,
Judkins gets up to speed, I
yeah.
guess.
But
I mean,
I wouldn't spend a pretty penny on Dylan Sampson, to be honest. This week, because again,
yeah,
like I stated,
short term.
yeah, Judkins is back this week. They made it very clear he'll be in the lineup week 2. So I wouldn't spend a lot of money.
That's a good point.
I wouldn't spend a lot of fab or your waiver wire pick. If he's an add drop, yes, like if he clears waivers, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I would not put a priority pickup on him because Judkins will be back in the lineup and Judkins is their primary back.
Yeah, that's fine. I think I want to. I would say maybe for this week, it's probably good. And again, they're playing Baltimore,
No,
and
Baltimore.
right, and Cook had a nice day against them. I would
Yeah,
say
but
I would
that's
say wait and see
yeah,
that.
but that's the Bills' offense.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. I can't. By the way, we're about to bring up other names. I can't think of another name I would want more on the waiver wire than Dylan Sampson. So let's get to the other names here. So, the next name on the list, we got Bayshaw Tootin. So with the tank, Bayshaw Tootin with with Tank getting traded to the Eagles, it basically opens up the number two role in Jacksonville, which could be pretty valuable considering ETN's history, and we don't know if that's going to continue forever. We'd like to think. So Bayshaw's about 42% on ESPN, 40% on Sleeper. So if nothing else, he becomes a high value handcuff if that's what you believe about ETN, that he's going to be the guy, but it's not, it's clear. Like Tootin's going to be the guy. They went out and drafted him. It's that regime. Liam Cohen loves him. Huge hype train throughout the entire offseason for him. Yeah. So it's Tootin. Um, I only have one other name on this list, and it's a struggle to find guys who are available. It's running back, man. That's why what did we say during the offseason? That's why you hit the guys early and you hit them often with running backs because the scarcity is there. The only other name we have on this list, we already discussed it. It's Dare Gumbawale. He's basically available in every single format that you have. Nobody's got him, but you cannot deny 17 snaps, the clear number two. But again, it's Chubb is still there. He's the guy, and the Houston O line is bad. But again, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel. We just needed to mention it.
Scraping way bottom on the barrel there. You're
Is
scraping underneath the barrel.
is there anybody else you would consider as a pickup? And you have anybody else?
No, not this week. I mean, not much. I mean, to be honest,
Most of the pickups are at wide receiver. I
yeah,
agree.
and honestly, if you're thinking about plugging Dara Goombawale in your lineup this
I
week coming
mean,
up,
yeah.
I mean, you're in trouble already, and it's week 1.
I bring it. We're bringing it up because there's nobody else we could bring up. That's the point. It's
Yeah.
it's it's so
Well,
it's so low. Um, if it was me, now, I agree with what Tommy said. I wouldn't be burning a lot of priority or anything like that on Samson. I might on Tootin, but not because I'm looking to put him in right away. Like he's going to be quite valuable as a handcuff. Speaking of which, now's a good time to bring up high value handcuffs. So we're going to make a point to not waste anybody's time throughout the year talking about high value handcuffs because it should just come as a foregone conclusion that you already know that these guys are basically not going to be valuable for your team unless that starter gets injured. Now, you and feel free to take shots on guys from other teams as well. So we'll call out the names and we'll do a sit rep on this every single week. We'll just run through it real quick and we'll run through them now. So Trey Benson from Arizona, Algier from Atlanta, Ray Davis from Buffalo, Kareem Hunt from Kansas City, Blake Corum from the Rams, Ollie Gordon from Miami, Kendre Miller from New Orleans, Cam Scatabo from the Giants, Braylon Allen from the Jets, Will Shipley from Philadelphia, and Brian Robinson from San Francisco. We'll update this list as the year goes on, and essentially they have it in common that almost little to no standalone value, but the value is gigantic. They're not in an RBBC. They are going to become the guy if the starter goes down.
just to
So
counter one thing though, too, I still to this day think that Isaac Guerendo is the high value backup handcuff for San Francisco.
that's fine. You could just you're in the minority if
That's
you
fine.
can.
That's fine.
Okay.
But when it happens.
We'll
Let
just
her,
find out.
remember, Uncle Tom told you.
Uncle Tom told me. Kyle Shanahan, although I believe nothing that he says ever, did say that it was Brian Robinson, but we'll move it on.
He's a liar.
All right, so let's go to some wide receivers here. We've got a few different drop candidates. I imagine we'll have a little bit less disagreement here. So top on the list, we've got Trey Harris, who's only 14% on ESPN, but 40% on Sleeper. He is the number 4 wide receiver on his team now, on a team that like Harbaugh would like to run the ball every play if he could, although he's letting them throw a bit. He's the number 4
Yeah.
wide receiver. It's not worth it.
Quentin Can't Catch Johnson came out and just could catch now. Told
That's
you after that concussion, he came back and flipped on a switch. He's back in his college years.
That's true. And we'll talk about him today, amazingly. Uh, the other name here, I have no idea how this guy is 70% owned in both leagues. I have no idea. Rashid Shaheed, just let it go. Just let it go. The Saints are going to be awful, and he's like the 4th receiving option. Just let it go. Just let it go. Just move on from the Saints. And the last name I got in here is this one might be the only one that might annoy people. So Luther Burden, he's 17% on ESPN, 47% on Sleeper. He was 4th in snaps behind Olamide Zaccheaus, and he did not look involved. I don't know how
Yeah,
you retain him on your team after week one.
it's week one. It's week one. Hold on to him.
Really?
Yeah, don't freak out yet. Just you have to see because the system wasn't running as successfully, I'd say, offensively, for the entirety of the game. So just wait one more week. Just wait. Just wait.
All right.
Unless you have to drop them to pick up somebody that's relevant, but just wait. Again,
Did
I really don't feel like there's crazy relevance unless like you had an issue with tight end and or you had an issue with quarterback and you're like, hey, I maybe need to double up on quarterback. I wouldn't recommend it, but things like that.
You got to remember that we're about to call out a bunch of wide receivers. People have to know who they're going to drop. So I'm putting out names that like okay, I'm dropping these guys to pick up some of these guys. So I mean,
Yeah.
you
No.
gotta do you have any other names on the drop list? You're Mr. Retain everybody. So people have short benches, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, right now, again, like it's week one. Unless I feel like it is a primary, like this guy did nothing at all. He put up a zero,
Well,
no
okay,
targets, nothing. Then that's a different story. Like for me, I'm probably looking to potentially drop Drone Ford because we know that Judkins is back.
sure,
Right, so that's where I'm at. All right, well, he
okay.
did nothing pretty much.
We did mention it, but here, like, we're about to talk about wide receivers. Like, I would drop Luther Burden for about 5 of these guys we're about to name.
Yeah, I mean, if I had Trey Harris and I had Raheem Shaheed, which I probably wouldn't have Raheem Shaheed, but if I had Raheem Shaheed or Trey Harris, I'd drop them for one of these guys.
We need to have a whole segment on Tom Lang pronouncing names because that's my favorite thing. Let's let's get into the positive. So probably owned. So again, magically, if any of these guys are available, pick them up immediately. So Keenan Allen, who's clearly going to be very involved in the offense while he's healthy. It's 75% on ESPN, 60% on Sleeper. So you decent enough shot that he's available on your wire. Pick him up immediately. He's going to be involved. And then the
Did it all
Bills
off season.
and then the Bills dynamic duo here. So both of them are going to be great. I mean, don't be fooled just by saying Keon Coleman is going to be the only guy. No. Keon Coleman just happened to have the big game. It's going to be both of them. Khalil Shakir looked good. I was worried about that sprain, the high ankle sprain coming into the thing. Doesn't matter. He looked good. Both of them are about 80% in both leagues. Magically, if they're available, go ahead and pick them up. They
Yeah, and
just
Keenan Coleman was their highest targeted route wide receiver
yes.
throughout the entire day.
But that could change. It could be Shakir one week, it could be Coleman one week. I mean,
It could, but you know what? Even if it's 8 to 11 targets, I mean, I'm still cool. I'm still cool with that because you
sure.
know that they're going to be a high scoring team. They'll be in every single game.
Right.
So
It's the Bills. Yeah,
the Bills,
you want pieces on the Bills.
and Keenan Coleman has, he looked great and he was open. He just was a primary, read for Josh Allen throughout the entire game.
You're right. All right, so let's get into the general options. Okay, so Quentin Johnston.
Just
This is we've been dreading this conversation. let's be very,
Still good.
let's start with stuff that we know. He's not going to get 2 touchdowns every single week. He's not.
No.
Okay. That doesn't mean he's not going to be valuable. Maybe he leveled up, not just learning how to catch, but maybe he leveled up. It doesn't matter all the other drops and stuff. Harbaugh had him in there as a primary thing. He went 5 for 7, so 7 targets, 79 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I
You
can't. We
know,
can't. Yeah, go ahead.
I think the reason behind this though too is because he's not the primary guy. He's not looked at as the number one or number two. He's the number three, and he can shine on at maybe at a
Eh.
number three, and maybe that's where he's like had all those like late night flusters and all that stuff, not be able to catch the ball.
Do you think? Listen, I'm not gonna poo-poo it. I'm not gonna deny it. He is the number one wide receiver pickup. It is what it is.
Yeah,
Um, just keep in mind that there was a lot of times that there was some disappointment with this. Maybe he's leveled up. I won't. It's worth the shot. That's the point.
he
It is 100% worth the shot.
well he could have had a great week one, and then it could be a nightmare for the rest of the year. So
That's very true that we've seen that before, just at
yes,
various times with stuff. All right, let's go to the next one, which is so these two names were by far the highest names on the list. So Hollywood Brown, aka
Bollywood Brown.
Bollywood Brown. So just to catch everybody up, and by the way, Quentin Johnson is available basically everywhere. He's like 3 to 9%. Hollywood Brown is about 50% on ESPN, 31% on Sleeper, so he should be there. Here's the deal: Tommy and I were texting the entire time during that game about how bad Hollywood Brown looked. It doesn't. Here's the thing, though. We're checking our egos at the thing. And also, I remember saying in the offseason that I just was done with him. I just can't stand him. There's promise for it, and then he never plays. And then when he does, sometimes it's bad. Here's the thing. We're going to check our egos aside. We're not going to deny 16 targets. We're not. Now, this smells a lot like that Amari Cooper game from last year. Remember that game? You know the one I'm talking about where he got
Yeah.
17 targets. And this is in the best
Well,
scenario for him. Worthy's out, Rice is out. He needs him, but 10 for 16 for 99 yards? Yeah, go ahead. Like,
yeah, I mean, I will say though, Kelsey wasn't heavily targeted. He wasn't heavily used in that game as well too. So I mean, it
that's
could have just
fair.
been scripted. They just didn't. Also, the offense didn't look good. Like they did not look good. They looked scattered. And for Bollywood Brown to basically get 16 targets, and they weren't like deep targets, they were short targets, right? They were like little like dink and dunks, like little like try to in and outs. Like he was in the slot, he was trying to get the first down. Like those were his targets, and for him not to be able to catch all 16 was a little wild. But he went 16 for 10 for 99 yards.
Yeah, I mean, it is
One
what it is.
so like we always say, targets are king. You have to chase targets. You do know if Worthy's not there, he's gonna get the targets.
Yes.
I will say I am not setting a high priority to go get him because he's not going to be a year. He's not going to be a whole year kind of like opportunity guy. Again, it is week one. He is going to probably get another like 2, 3 weeks worth of volume, and then that's going to be the end of the show. So,
Maybe. I think that I won't. You can't deny the targets, and you can't deny the need for him. And by the way, just to point out, we didn't really talk about the game. Like, this is the thing. You're right. The rest of their offense it just looks bad, but it's Patrick Mahomes who is give the man credit. He really is unbelievable. He's putting it together with like smoke and mirrors. Like he's doing everything on his own. And he's gonna have to put it together with basically a dissipated Travis Kelce and Bollywood Brown and stuff. Oh, but let's mention so while we're on the subject of the Chiefs, let's just bring up Juju Smith-Schuster. I agree with Tommy. Hollywood Brown is going to be gigantic on the waiver wire, gigantic on Fab. You could probably get Juju for free.
yeah.
Juju's basically owned, not owned everywhere. He went five in when Worthy goes out. He went 5 for 5 for 55, lots of
Yeah.
fives. I think he could just as easily have next week have the kind of game that Hollywood had last week. It's just a product of a product of determination. Just maybe that particular week. Now they have a tough matchup this week. They're home against Philadelphia. You know, this is the same Philadelphia that
Well,
they
they will
only
be
got
passing the ball.
they're gonna have to. So keep that in mind. I might rather take the shot on Juju considering I have to pay nothing for it. Um, next name on here we've got Calvin Austin available basically everywhere. I think this is I think this is fool's gold, personally.
I don't.
You
I
do,
said it. I was on Calvin Austin's train the entire offseason as well too, especially with Aaron Rodgers being over there. Aaron Rodgers look like the gunslinger he used to be. I made it very clear he's going to be good.
sure.
This is a great opportunity for him, and it's a great opportunity for Calvin Austin to light it up.
So I think four four for six, 70 yards in the touchdown. Having been at the game, the takeaway that most of the people in the stands got was that Sauce was really good and he was locking up DK for most of the game, but that they were going out of their way to pick on the other corner. So that's maybe Austin was a beneficiary of that.
Can I ask you a question? Speaking of that game, and this is completely irrelevant to the actual football game, but was there a guy that got stuck on top of the flag when they were doing the national anthem?
No.
I saw on TV there was a guy who was climbing on top. He got stuck underneath the flag and he was climbing out of that to get himself out.
I don't think maybe we didn't notice it.
Look back at that. Look
I'll have
back
to
at
look.
that. It was a little wild.
I'll
Back
have
to
to look.
this.
Yeah, yeah, but back to that. That's fine. If you want to take your shot on Austin, I would. I think it's I'm more conservative than Tommy on it, so you could take your lumps. I want to highlight I want to give Tommy credit though, and I really want to highlight Wandale here. So Wandale, who's about 30% in both leagues, you should be able to get him. He went 6 for 8 for 55 yards. He's very good for PPR. And man, he was like, on an offense that's going to be this bad and they're going to be this low area targets, like he's and the clear number two like there's nobody. It's Malik Neighbors and Wandale. Like Tommy had identified him all off season. I would be trying to get Wandale Robinson. Great. I
Yeah.
think he's a good flex play. And he's got some nice matchups coming up. Well, at least he's got Dallas coming up, and then he's got KC. But good matchup this week. Um, I cannot believe we're about to bring up this name again. Oh my God. So George Kittle's out for the next couple weeks. Jawan Jennings is likely to be out. I think they're not sure. So give me a wide receiver other than Ricky Pearsall that could step up in San Francisco. Here's a name. Marquez Valdez Scantling, MVS.
VS.
Oh, sorry, did you forget that he plays for the San Francisco
No, I
49ers?
didn't. I said it last week.
Yeah. So he's 0% owned in every league, so he's available. He's gonna have like one catch for 99 yards and a touchdown, and then everybody's gonna blow him up for next week. I think you just completely avoid it. Am I wrong? Like
Well, the thing is, it just depends on if Purdy plays or not. Mac Jones is the backup over
that's
there,
true.
and if Mac Jones is the backup over there, it's going to be the Christian McCaffrey show and the running game show. So, they're going against the Saints. I just don't see much being a problem over there. And no, I would not pick up MVS.
Next name we got Ray McLeod. I think he's a good pickup if London is out. He went 3 for 5 for 51, whatever. He's basically available everywhere. He's talented. He's always a name in Atlanta, whatever. But if London's out, and especially if Mooney continues to remain out, he's definitely an option. So
Yeah,
keep Ray McLeod in mind. Cedric Tillman, we've been talking about him. He's always an option while Flacco's the quarterback,
yeah,
and uh,
he had a great game.
he had a great game, which we knew it. We called it out. We knew he would have a good game against the Bengals. Although I still think they could have put up more points, whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
on our Sunday live, there was a couple questions about Tillman, and I called my shot on Tillman over Ridley, over I think it was Oduze as well too, and it won.
sure. And he's about 30-40% in leagues depending on where he's at. So Romeo Dobbs, we've got here about 20% owned in both leagues. My assessment of this, obviously he only had 4 targets, but he had a my assessment of this is generally if Green Bay is going to be the best team in the NFC or at least among the best teams in the AFC, then the NFC, then you want pieces on the team. He looks like he's going to be the wide receiver too. I guess it depends on if Reed plays, not plays, Golden, etc. By the way, Golden ended up on the injury report, so we're going to follow that this week as well.
Yeah, and Reed looked good.
And Reed looked good, which is annoying considering that he's playing with a broken foot and he looked good. So you explain that. So love that.
Yeah,
Messes
sometimes you just need a little oomph to get you through, the season.
if Golden is out specifically, I think Dobbs is even better. And then here you could spend 2 seconds talking about the last guy here. Go ahead.
The legacy. Obviously it was a slow integration for him, but I think
Adam
that
Thielen, if anybody doesn't know who we're
yeah,
talking about,
Mr.
yeah.
Thielen. We call him Mr. Thielen here. Mr. Legacy Thielen. He it just, I think it's going to be a slow integration, especially for that offense. But, I think he could be a good opportunity to plug in. There's another player, I mean, it was only one play. But Isaac Tesla did have the only
I'm
touch.
not. This is ridiculous. I think he's super talented and he's highly touted and stuff, but
Yeah.
he's the wide receiver three when there's a million other options. And no,
And the
it's just
Lions look like crap.
I think they'll bounce back.
No, they have to bounce back because you know who they're playing this week? Ben
Uh,
Johnson of the Bears.
and the Bears, they'll bounce back. Um, just a quick note on Adam Thielen. I agree with what Tommy said. He's about 40-50% owned in leagues. Love the touchdown. He'll get more and more integrated because he was only there for 3 seconds before he played. Uh, basically, I don't know if Tommy until Addison comes back, I think he's perfectly a viable flex play. Perfectly, yeah. The JJ will be looking for him, and Kevin O'Connell loves him. Any other names before we go to tight ends?
No.
Tight ends. This is going to be interesting. So, we'll start with some drop candidates. So we only got a few here. So let's start with some lower ones, and then we'll get to the controversial ones. So, the Darren Waller, if he's about 20% owned in both leagues, if you have him, just let it go. Like there's 1,000 reasons. Just first of all, he didn't even play. And if he does come back and when he comes back, his health is going to be a concern throughout the year. He's 30,000 years old now. He's hasn't played like it's and also Miami could not have looked worse. Like can we let's just call it a day. Cade Otton, he did come back and play, so he's off the injury. He was 0 for 3 on targets, and he's not needed in that offense while all the other wide receivers are getting everything.
Yeah.
If you remember last year, he became relevant when like everybody went down before the ascension of Jalen McMillian. So keep an eye on that maybe later in the season if all the wide receivers go down. Otherwise, it's not worth it. So and Cade Otton's like 20% owned in the leagues. And then I just want a quick conversation about Evan Ingram. So first of all, we don't know if he's going to play now, which continues to bolster this. By the way, Evan Ingram's one of the most owned tight ends across every platform.
Yeah.
I don't think he looked good even before he got hurt. I did think he did not look the same. I didn't see the
I
same
don't think
level.
the team looked good.
I think the team will bounce back a little bit. I think Nick's got a little bit too cute. I think Sean Payton got a little bit too cute, to be honest.
They were planning ahead.
Yeah. Um, yeah, they barely beat the Titans, so they better step their game up. But I don't think Evan Ingram looked good enough to be warranted, like, oh, I'm putting him in, starting him no matter what.
Well,
Do
it
you
could have been a part of that playing ahead kind of factor. They
maybe?
just didn't think that they needed to utilize him as much as they did. I will say, obviously he has a calf injury, so definitely monitor that.
If he's out, I don't know how you keep him on your team.
Well, if you
I
got an
don't.
IR spot, you just throw him in the IR spot, and
If
because
you don't,
if you don't, then you might have to make a heavy decision there because again, he was a draftable asset, heavy draftable asset when it comes down to tight end for you. So if you want to do that, be prepared to be playing against him when he pops off in a couple weeks.
yeah. It's hard to keep somebody. It's gonna be hard to keep a backup tight end who you know is injured. And again, it didn't look good. So I would try. I would try. See what's going. See what's. But again, you can't pick up tight ends if you're not dropping them.
Mhm.
So keep it in mind. All right. Probably owned. If Dalton Kincaid or Kyle Pitts are out there, and they're going to be out there in some leagues, pick them up immediately. So Dalton Kincaid looked like he turned a corner and he looked great. He really, really did in the Bills. And like we just pointed out, the same thing with Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir. In an offense where there really isn't like an alpha, but a team is going to be putting up a million points. You want pieces there. Dalton Kincaid is going to be great. Obviously had that big touchdown, 4 for 4. He looked good. Just go get Kincaid, and I think he's a perfectly good. Just put him in as your starter and leave him in there. Kyle Pitts, like we said, so we'll reserve the judgment on if he's going to be really good this year or not. But you can't deny that he was great when when they needed him, he looked
Um,
good at least in
I
week
mean, if
one,
London is going to be out for some time, then
and
yeah, I mean,
and especially if Mooney's out too, and he still looked
yeah.
great. He went seven of eight targets, 59 yards, and I thought he looked. I thought he looked athletic. And I thought he looked like he learned how to run a route. So Kyle Pitts is a
He
great
also
pickup
learned
there.
how to catch the ball instead of giving it to the defense.
Yes, he did. We're gonna keep that in mind for forever and ever on him. All right, so general options here. So I have to me, it's not even close. That my top name on this list is Juwan Johnson. Obviously, and he's available everywhere. So the Saints are so bad that I think it makes him good. They need him short area targets, and he looked like a gangster. He looked great. Like he was super athletic, 8 for 11, 76 yards, and he almost scored that game-winning touchdown against Arizona at the last second of the game. I I could think of a whole lot of names I would love to start him over. Is there? Yeah, go ahead.
There was a there so in the league where I punted tight end and I had what you call it Chigo Okonkwo. There was a
Right.
thought that I was thinking about picking up Jawan and starting him. You know, obviously hindsight's 2020. But now looking at it, you know, obviously targets are very valuable. He had 11 targets, 8 receptions, 76 yards, and he looked good through the game. You know, the thing with him is that, you know, Spencer Rattler, I think it's going to kind of teeter back and forth. I think his low, his basically his floor is about 5 targets per game right now with Spencer Rattler out there. I would also say the same thing with like Tyler Show. If something like happens where Tyler Show comes in there, he's still gonna have a floor of 5 targets. And the reason is because they're those are valued opportunities to just little dump offs and
Short area targets.
yeah and he also is a you know very versatile tight end. Now, I think the ceiling is higher for touchdowns with him now with Rattler out there. But I think, you know, as the season goes on, if changes are made, I think his, you know, the ceiling drops drastically with touchdowns if somebody else pops in there. But I think it's a great opportunity to, you know, I think he is really on everybody's target list. And I would definitely recommend to take him and plug him in because you could see him in the top 10 pretty much for the next so on weeks. I would, there's no reason
Sure.
to feel different.
Yeah, I mean, and for, he's a great pick. Like if you lost Kittle, I mean, he's a super great pickup.
Yep.
Um, so Hunter Henry. So we're highlighting him again because he's gonna probably gonna chronically be on this list for the whole season. He's about 40% owned in both leagues. 4 for 8. So he had 8 targets at 66 yards. And I just want to point out this is on a team that there are no dominant wide receivers. Even if Diggs gets more and more integrated, he'll get his targets. There's no dominant wide receivers there. You got Diggs, Boutte, Pop Douglas. So he's still the upside there is great, especially for touchdowns. He's going to be involved in the offense. And yes, he's playing Miami this week. So definitely a great plug and play option for Hunter Henry. Some other names, I don't want to spend too much time on Brenton Strange. So I don't know what to make of.
He had the hardest block on a defender.
I know what you're
If
talking
you
about.
got points for blocks, that would have been like a 10 pointer right there, man.
PPB, point per
Yeah.
block. So he's about 20% owned in both leagues. He went 4 for 4 for 59, so very efficient. Caught the ones that were thrown at him, but they were playing Carolina, which is bad. But then again, they're playing Cincinnati this week. So if you got
Yeah, but
Brenton
the
Strange,
problem is we looked at Carolina as an ascending offense, right? So like, you know,
but not a defense though.
oh, no, definitely not
It's not a defense.
they're the descending defense.
Let's talk about Zach Ertz. So he's about 40 to 50% owned in both leagues. So he went 3 for 5, and of course he got a touchdown. He gets it done. Jaden looks for him in the red zone, which is the most important thing. My point, my worry is that this is not going to last. It's he's getting up there now, and Sinat's behind him, and they got a lot of options there in Washington now. So the Debo, Eckler, etc. I would I would keep it if you need a plug and play, and you could do way worse than that. But if you're looking for longer term options, there could be other opportunities. So
Hmm.
I know you like Zach Ertz too. Let's talk about Jake Tongues from San Francisco. One of the greatest catches one of the greatest contested catches I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's very
Um,
good.
so Jake Tung's available everywhere. So obviously Jake Tung's backup tight end for the San Francisco 49ers, if anyone doesn't know. In Kittle's absence, he did great. He caught that amazing touchdown. He's likely to be involved in Kittle's absence. So if you want to just go from Kittle to Tungs, you feel free to go ahead. Remains to be seen how much he's going to be used solely instead of the other guy they have there. I forget the other guy's name, Luke Warren or something. But yeah, he was the guy. If you want to go that route, that's fine. And I wanted to bring up as a more long-term option. So Isaiah Likely. So he's probably still going to be out for this week and maybe next week, depending on stuff. But I just want to point out in a game in which the Ravens put up 40 points, Mark Andrews looked awful, awful. They didn't look for him and they needed him. And I didn't think he had the same pep on top of the fact that there was this conversation this whole offseason about them trading him. So I think Likely could be a league winner towards the middle to the end of this coming year. Do you agree with that?
I agree. I agree. I think he's definitely somebody to keep an eye on. Definitely try to go out there and, if you have an IR spot, he's most likely the 30% in sleeper is an IR spot right there. But he should be, pretty heavily owned if you have an IR spot. If you don't, you want to take a risk and just pop him on your bench. There is that opportunity there too. I don't think you need to put in a waiver priority for him,
Right. If
or
you
fab or anything like that because he would be an ad drop. So you don't want to kind of mess around with that as much. But I'd probably say sooner than later because he'll be a waiver priority when he's gets
when it gets
put out
closer.
there to come closer. So yeah, there's another player that I definitely want to talk
Sure.
about tight end wise. Harold Fenton Jr. He went 9 for 7 for 63. He's the highest target pass catcher for Cleveland, and he's only 2% owned. I would definitely recommend to take a look at him. I know you're not on that train,
I'm not.
but I will say him being a rookie tight end, he looked very athletic. Obviously. Njoku is the tight end there, but it doesn't hurt to have, a look. I mean, if you don't want to spend a waiver priority and, if he's not going to be picked up or if he is picked up by somebody, it could be a great thing down, for week two. But again, I just think that he's definitely somebody to take a look at. I do not value him higher than Jawan Johnson. 100% Jawan Johnson for me for tight end, maybe just even for pass catcher is my go-to this week. That is my number one priority target. But Harold Fannin, if I can't get, I'm streaming tight ends, he might be something I'm really, potentially trying to jump on this week coming up.
I don't disagree with your logic on Fannin. I just think that it's always week one. You always have some of these kind of like fluky things kind of
Yeah,
happening.
but 9 targets is really not fluky.
No, it's week one, and I just think it's almost never do you have the number two tight end being a valuable asset throughout the year. Almost never.
It just
Um,
depends on the system. I mean, they also, when it comes down to the Cleveland Browns, I mean, they're getting more pass protection in there as well too for Flacco, for an aged Flacco who's not as mobile as Aaron Rodgers.
which is not saying
Well,
much.
you're talking about age. I'm talking about age.
Sure. I listen. They heard you. That I'm here. I'm expressing my
Yeah,
trepidation.
that's fine.
It is what it is. But I agree with you that it's like, we're getting down the list in terms of tight end at that point. It's like I think you could find better options. But if you want to take that shot, go for it. Um, you ready to move on to streamers?
Yeah.
Welcome to the A stream for all you lovely listeners streaming quarterback and or defense. Our favorite part of the show here. All right, so we make an effort to focus on quarterbacks and defenses that are available in most of your leagues, because otherwise it's going to be too difficult, or otherwise you might have better defensive or quarterback options. So at the quarterback position, among the names that we've got listed here, I'm not chasing the Daniel Jones extravaganza against Denver. I'm gonna avoid that. Michael Penix looked good, but I'm scared about him playing the Vikings. And Geno Smith looked good, but I'm scared about him playing the Chargers. But I am interested in the Aaron Rodgers at home against Seattle play. I'm perfectly happy with that to make Tommy happy. I would say as a strong second place, I would take the Trevor Lawrence shot playing Cincinnati. I think that's a perfectly good option there.
Good.
Are you feeling good or bad about Stafford at Tennessee?
I mean, Stafford for me, he's not the Stafford from 2, 3 years ago when it comes down to his fantasy points. So I mean, he has a his floor is 9 points, his ceiling is 17 points. So
Eh, yeah,
yeah,
pocket passer if he gets the
I
passing
think I think
touchdowns.
this Tennessee game is probably scripted for the run and little
Maybe you're right. It's gonna be a slow lower. Tennessee's got a decent defense.
Aaron Williams all day long.
Yeah. You might be right. I would if I can't believe I'm going there, I would take Rogers or Lawrence then as good streaming options. It is what it is. It is what it is. We'll move it on. Defensively, this is good. We got a couple of good defensive options. So the Rams are at Tennessee, very widely available, great option. 49ers, they are at the Saints. Now, I love these sometimes that the percentage differences in owned always makes me laugh. The 49ers are 19% owned on ESPN, 59% owned on Sleeper. That's the only one that's like a weird thing. The Cowboys defense. Oh man, the Cowboys. They are home against the Giants. After what the Giants pulled against the Commanders, I don't want to hear nothing about the Giants offense having a chance to be competitive while Olson's quarterback and their play calling, etc. And then the Colts, who had an amazing job against Miami, they are home against Denver, and I know Denver did not play their best. Maybe they'll step it back up. I'm not as bullish on the Colts defense, but we thought we'd mention it as an option. Tommy, of these, I mean, uh, who are you most interested in? I would say of the most available, I would say the Cowboys personally.
I'd say out of the most available, I'd probably go Colts.
You think?
I think it was a slow start for Denver, and I think it's going to be a continued slow start for Denver. Um, and I think the Colts, really stepped it up. They held. I mean, all push comes to shove. I mean, I do think that the Miami Dolphins have a lot of talent. I just think the coaching is, the players don't like the coach anymore. And I think that's the problem at this point. Um, but the
You
talent around that,
wait, say that again.
I don't think the players like the coach in
You don't
Miami.
think? Oh, okay. Sorry,
Uh,
I
yeah.
thought you were
So,
thought you
but
were
again,
talking
I
about
think that
Denver.
no. I think there's a lot of talent over there, which the Colts defense stepped up and they showed a lot, showed out. Um, they also, there was a lot of emotion with Jim Irsay passing over the off season. So they wanted to get that win and blow it out. But again, I don't think it just starts. I don't think it ends at week one. I think that continues. I think there's a lot of emotion into this year for that team. And I think that, the Colts will continue into Denver and play very well. So I think, and I also don't think Denver is going to just reimagine what they did last year immediately. I think it's going to be a through the season kind of thing. Bo Nix is going to struggle slightly, and it's going to be I think the Colts are a really nice streaming option.
Yeah, I think they're a perfectly streaming option. I personally don't think that Denver's going to struggle as much as you say they are, but it doesn't change kind of week two's bit of an outlook.
I
And when
will say, buyers beware of Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones himself, Daniel Jones, if people don't know what the hell we're talking about, we will bring up
Welcome to the ride, guys.
So there we go. That's the waiver show. Let's be on the lookout for our start sit preview show that will drop on Thursday. We'll get much more into the lines and the updated lines and defensive plays as we just called out. We'll point out like where Vegas thinks the team's offenses will actually finish up. We'll point out all the starts and sits like we do every single week, like we did last week, like we do for the whole season. And then we got Sunday Live this week. So we got a lot of stuff planned. We got a big season. We're so excited about this season. We're so excited to be with you guys. And final thoughts, Mr. Lang?
Yeah, no, if everybody could please share, subscribe, and click that bell, we truly appreciate everybody tuning in. And let's win our waiver weeks, and let's get another win this week too.
Let's go get it. Thank you, everybody.